everyone. How are you? What a phenomenal morning, eh? I think it's going to get just better and better. I wanted to say thank you to Charla for this, and I want to start up by saying how humbled, blessed, and honored I am to be standing in front of all of you amazing souls and speaking, so thank you for that. I love the introduction. It tells you a little bit about what I do, but it does not give you an insight to who I am. So allow me to tell you who I am. Hello, Jambo, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum. I am Tahira, and I am happiness, I'm peace, I'm joy, I'm kindness, I am feisty, I am passionate. If you speak to my husband, he's going to tell you I'm moody at times. And I'm limitless. Thank you. So, just to give you a little bit of my background, Charla covered most of it. So I am born and raised in Kenya, lived in South Africa, the United Arab Emirates, and now Canada. Growing up, it sounds really exciting, I'm pretty sure, but growing up, this was really tough for me because I had an identity crisis. All of these things that I am and the cultures that I grew up with were fascinating, phenomenal, but always in conflict of one another. They always, whatever was taught to me was in conflict of each other, and so it was very hard to know where I was and what path to follow. And it wasn't until my mid-20s to late 20s when I moved to the United Arab Emirates and was living in the Middle East is when I realized what power I held with those different cultures and my diversity. It was then only I realized how powerful and limitless I was, because it showed me that I was able to communicate and relate to people limitlessly with the boundaries that I had created for myself. They really weren't boundaries. How many of you here would love to be limitless? Like just by a quick show of hands. Oh yeah. I have news for you, and it's good news. You all have the potential to be limitless, and the secret is, you already are. And you're going to be like, what is she talking about, right? In order to realize our limitless potential, there's two things you need to understand today. One is that from birth to this moment right now, we've been conditioned to limit ourselves by the beliefs that have been taught to us. Now remember, not all the beliefs that we've been taught are limiting, but there's a lot of them that are. And we need to realize this to understand that's the step one to getting limitless and realizing our true potential. Number two is realizing that all these limitations that we place on ourselves or have been taught to us stem from fears. So you really, really got to be ready to combat those fears and get through them. Are you guys ready? Yeah. Are you like ready to just get fearless already? One thing we all need to realize as well is being limitless is individually defined. My definition of limitlessness is going to be very different than yours, and that's going to be very different than the person sat right beside you. And you need to understand that, because life is too short to be running and living according to somebody else's rules and definitions. So before you decide to tap into your limitless potential, you need to first define what that means for you. And do it, and don't care about what it is about the next person next to you, because guess what? They're not living your life, you are. So define your limitlessness according to you and what it means to you. I can stand here and tell you what it means to me, but it's probably going to mean pretty much close to nothing to somebody in this room. So define that for yourself and make sure you're clear on what that is and do that for yourself. 2 years ago, I suffered a breakdown. Yeah, one of those. Yay. And it was, I have to say, at that point in time, one of the worst things I've ever gone through. But today I can tell you, it was the best bloody damn thing that happened to me. I spent hours on my bathroom floor, bawling my eyes out, and I had a husband walking in every 2 minutes. what can I do for you? How can I help you? And I'm like, this is not about you. You need to get lost. Find yourself somewhere else. And poor shame, I shouldn't make fun of him. He was well-intended about what he wanted to do. But after hours, it was 4 hours, but felt like a lot longer to me, getting out of that bathroom floor, the one thing I came out realizing is that the choice of where I was and the choice of where I go from that point was on me and me only. I was to decide the bar I set for myself and nobody else. And while it was really awesome to be able to blame my husband and my sisters for me being in that position, the truth is the onus was on myself. I have nobody to blame but myself about the choices I make. So today I want to ask you, are you going to choose to be limitless or limited? And that's your choice. You see, the thing with limitations and limitlessness is it comes down to reality. Reality is really just a perception that's different. So it's an amalgamation of different perceptions. Your reality is going to be very different than mine. So there's no one set reality. It's an amalgamation of your perceptions. And what we see is really what we see through the glasses. It's almost like glasses. I mean, I wear glasses. I have lenses on today too. But the clarity of what I see depends on what I'm looking through. So what lens are you looking through? And how clear is your vision? That's what it comes down to as well. When I talk about perception and what it means and how does that tie into being limited or limitless, when you start to see things, we always see things in terms of a length of life. We rarely look at life in terms of width. And it really isn't about how long you live, but how wide you live. And what do I mean by that? Your width of your life is decided by the experiences you have, and what does that do for you? I learned at a very young age, life is too short. I saw my loved ones die too soon. I've seen my loved ones suffer because they're living a life that's not true to themselves. And then I've also seen my loved ones break those shackles and soar the skies, like, woof! We're like, okay. When we talk about perception and the width of life and how we're looking at things, we need to start looking at things bigger than just us. And we need to start looking at life with the impact. And this morning you've heard Charla's story about life around the world and what it is. And we all sit here in a country where we're really blessed with having to make, we don't have to make choices on basic rights. We already have that. And when you look around in the world and you see people that have really, really, truly what is a limited choice, and you look at the Malalas of the world, and you look at the Mpumis, that you're going to hear her speak later, and she's phenomenal, just by the way. And you look at where they come from, and how they have soared, and how they found their limitlessness in their circumstance. We really all sitting in this room have absolutely no excuse to say we can't do something. We live in a country where we've got a lot of rights that a lot of people around the world do not have. And so today I ask you that you're sitting in this chair, what's stopping you? What is the worst that could happen? What's your excuse today? And when you make me those lists of excuses, they're just fears. They're just fears, and you need to decide who's driving your car. Is your fear driving your car? I know it's not driving mine. I told it to do it a long time ago. So ask yourselves, and really every excuse that you come and tell me is a fear. And you need to get over that, and you need to get over that idea that it's limiting you. So step away from that. We often wait for a time in life where we either say, I'll do it when the time is right. or when it gets better, I'll do it. Or we wait for a traumatic experience in life to happen, so either the death of a loved one or faced by the fear of death ourselves, to start living life limitlessly and without our inhibitions. But people, the truth is, we are all going to die. Sorry to be the morbid person in the room, but that's the end of it. And why do we have to wait for that traumatic experience to happen? You can't go into the past to change what happened in the past. Can you tell me if you know what's happening tomorrow, other than your daily schedule and what you've planned? Can you tell me for sure that's what's going to happen? Can you tell me you're going to see what tomorrow holds? So what we have right now is this moment right now. What are you doing with it? Are you waiting for tomorrow? What tomorrow? Like really, what tomorrow? So what are you doing in this moment right now? Because that's really all you people have. That's all I have. What am I doing with it? Am I using it to make the most of what I know I'm able to do? Or am I sitting here busy making excuses and living in my fear? So the choice really comes down to what you want to decide to choose to do. Do you want to wait for that tomorrow? Or do you want to become mindful and wake up every day and consciously live with the fact that you don't know what's going to happen in the next moment? So live it like it was your last. And I'm pretty sure you've all heard that before. I'm not telling you anything new. But what would you do differently if you knew this was your last day? And that, my dear friends, is what is really being limitless, is being mindful about that fact. Waking up every morning, reminding yourself that this is the only moment I have. What am I going to do in this moment that's going to be for me? And when we think fearlessness, we think limitlessness, we think big. It could be in the smallest things ever. You don't wear color, maybe? Maybe stop limiting yourself and start wearing some color. What's the worst that's going to happen? So it starts, and you've heard this before from the previous speakers. It's in the small steps. But again, define what it means for you, and remember that it's all this moment that you have. So again, are you choosing to be limited or limitless? That's up to you to decide. What I would like to say to you, and I'd like to end with, is this isn't about me or you. It's bigger than all of us in this room. We're setting a precedent for our future generations. I would have loved to grow up knowing how limitless I am and not have waited till 20 and 30 to learn. I would have loved to know that as a young child. And so we're sitting here, you're not just responsible for yourself. This is not an I factor. You're setting precedent for future generations with the choices you're making today about whether you limit yourself or you live limitlessly. And like I said, it does not have to be something big. You could be doing something so small that's inspiring to the young girl sitting next to you or watching you, and you're giving her wings to know and dream bigger and know what she's capable of, and him too. It's not just a gender thing. We need to do this for everybody. So, are we going to be limitless or limited? Limitless. Okay. And you know how I decided to introduce myself? You're all of those things. So I want you to say them with me. I am peace.
I am peace.
I am happiness.
I am happiness.
I am joy.
I am joy.
I am kindness.
I am kindness.
And I am limitless.
I am limitless.
Awesome. Thank you so much.